God damn it, what is this guy doing? Already told you to divert. We've got a Cessna putting down. Denali 825 about to touch down. And she's here. Bloody turboprop pilots. The next time you don't follow my instructions, I'm sending the Raptors after you.
Flight 259er, have a safe departure, good day.
G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to Tower 3D Pro with Mags. Tower 3D Pro is an air traffic control simulation where you take the role of an air traffic controller, as you would expect, and try and manage the airspace of the entire airport that you have taken control of. This includes all of the arrivals and departures, and everything that is in relation to them. So on the ground, you will be managing when the aircraft get their pushbacks, when they start up, when they taxi, where they taxi to, which runways they depart from, how they line up, which paths and taxiways they take to get to said runways. You'll also be managing all of the arrivals, so you have to manage all of the airspace around the airport. The incoming aircraft will want to land on particular runways. You'll have to make sure that they don't get too close to one another to avoid mid-air collisions, make sure that their timing is good, and also they do have sort of times that they want to arrive or depart at, and you must try and keep them on schedule. So for this particular game, we are taking control of TIST, which is St. Thomas Airport on the island of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. It's also known as Cyril E. King Airport. And I've just cleared the commercial flight Denali 1041 for departure on runway 28. So, quickly going over the user interface that you're seeing here. In the top left-hand corner, you have the command panel. This is where you issue all instructions to the aircraft. You do not directly control the aircraft, but as ATC, they will request input from you and you give them an order, or you can give them a command that they will need to execute in order to be able to navigate their way around the airport.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff 151 Charlie Alpha.
And we just cleared civil aviation flight N151CA for departure on runway 28. It's a twin-engined high-wing turboprop, and it should be good to clear the runway before tab 2421 is ready to depart. So anyways, on the bottom left we have the DB Write. DB Write is the Digital Bright Radar Indicator Tower Equipment. Or more simply, it's a radar with IFF. It tells you everything that's going on in the airspace around the runway, the position of the runway, the primary flight path in, the locations of all surrounding aircraft, what those aircraft are, their current airspeed, and their current heading. It's pretty much the most important part of the UI because it also shows not only the arriving aircraft and the aircraft that are currently circling the runway, but the departing aircraft, and it's important to keep all of these aircraft away from one another. I did a bit of a stream on this last night, and I had a moment where I just lost track of what was going on in the DB Write, and I wound up with a traffic jam and multiple almost mid-air collisions. In a very short space of time. So you've got to keep a close watch on this one. At the moment we only have two aircraft. We have Max 4251 that's...
2035 requesting push and start.
Alright, we'll get to you in just a moment. Max 8251 that refused to actually wave off earlier on and nearly caused a collision on the runway. I've got him circling back to the landing point, and we have Denali 1041 that is currently heading out, and we...
Roger. Good day.
Are going to send them on their way. Once we've contacted departure, that aircraft is now out of our control and it is heading off into the skies.
For takeoff Leslie 2421.
There we go. Tab 2421 is now ready to depart, and while we're at it, Max.
Final runway 28 Magic 8251.
There we go. 8251 is now cleared for final approach to runway 28. Now, N151CA. We need you to execute a right-hand turn at 90 degrees.
Turn right 90 degrees 151 Charlie Alpha.
Now the reason I'm doing that is because tab 2421 is getting ready to depart. It's a commercial jetliner. 151CA is just a turboprop. It's slower. It's going to get in the way. Now 2035, clear you for pushback and engine start.
28 pushback approved. Field
And
air 2035.
Okay, and at this point, we've just got to watch the DB Write. Now, once N151CA is cleared far enough north to be clear of the takeoff path for 2421, what we're going to do is send it on its way, give it its final contact, and it can go off and fly off our scopes. And then we're just going to monitor 2421 and make sure it doesn't get close to any of our other aircraft.
St. Thomas ground. Field Air 2035 ready to taxi.
Okay, so you're ready to taxi. We'll get to you in just a moment. And Max 8251, you are supposed to be turning around and heading back to the runway right now. What the hell are you doing? Anyways, 2421 is now cleared, and 151 is far enough out of the way. We can send them their final contact. And they are still on our scopes, but they should be just heading north and out of the region. Alright, so we're going to get... Alright, 2035 is now taxiing to 28, and now you turn left.
Turn left 90 degrees, Magic 8251.
Alright, so once Magic 8251 has made its left-hand turn, I'll give it another left-hand turn order, and it should line it up with the runway, and see whether or not we can get him to enter finals this time. He seemed really keen last time, to the point where he refused orders. Anyway, so the rest of the UI. On the top right-hand corner, we have the ADIRS. And I'm not going to lie, I have absolutely no idea what that stands for. But what it is effectively a map of the runway, showing the locations of all aircraft currently on the ground. It also shows the locations of all the taxiways, the points and markers for the layout of the entire runway, and you can use it to set navigational points to tell the aircraft where to move around the taxiways, which ways to exit off the runway, which runways to line up at. Yes, you're cleared to depart, or you're cleared to push and start anyway. And Magic, you are not turning around. Turn around and line up on runway 28. And while we're at it, give you clearance to push back and start for 28 as well.
28 pushback approved.
I think that's got everybody on the ground under control. God, what are you doing? Yeah, that turboprop is cutting straight back into the flight path. Thankfully, it's flown around our jetliner, so our jetliner looks to be okay. So we can send 2421 on its way. Hopefully, it won't turn back either.
Roger. Good day.
Okay, so while we're at it, we should probably get our pushbacks moving around. So 2035 is almost in position.
1289 are ready to taxi.
1289 will get you taxiing around.
1289er.
Alright, and it is on its way. And it looks like 8251 has finally turned around. Excellent. So it might actually be coming in for the bloody runway. So at this point, what we should probably do, and I will get back to the ADIRS system in just a moment. We've got clear space over the runway, so we should probably give 2035 permission to depart.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff, Field Air 2035.
Excellent. Alright, so, all going well. Anyways, on a small runway like St. Thomas, the ADIRS system or window is actually not all that important. There's only a couple of small taxiways, there's only one main runway that has two potential directions to land. There's 28, which is taking off to the west, and runway 10, which lands towards or takes off towards the east. It's not too much of an issue. This window becomes incredibly important when you start taking over the larger and more complex runways. LAX is a perfect example, when there are taxiways everywhere and the entire airspace above and on the ground can start looking like a traffic jam once you've got a few aircraft going around. And of course, in the bottom right hand corner you have the strip system, shows all of your arrivals and your departures. Each of those little tabs actually gives you all the information you need to manage an aircraft. So first there's the name of the aircraft. You can see we've got 3 letters and then a number combination. These are commercial airliners. I actually only learnt this on stream last night. A single letter followed by a number is usually a civil aircraft. 3 letters and a number is commercial, and there are combinations that extend out like that, which I actually have to do a little bit more research on. Directly underneath the name you have a 3 letters designation. You'll see we've got TRP on Max 8251. And the other 2 both have JT1. JT1 are jet airliners. TRP is a twin-engine turboprop, so that designates what the aircraft actually is. The tabs also include what airport the aircraft departed from. TIST is St Thomas, so you can see the two departures. Both are departing from TIST and heading to different designations. In the top strip for Max, you can see TIST is the second list. It's actually the arrivals point, so you can see what runway the aircraft has come from and where it's going to. And last of all, you can see a number. 28 is one of the runways here at St Thomas, 10 is the other. You can see all three aircraft are currently looking to use 28 as either their arrival or their departure point. They can request to use runway 10 as well, and it's your job as an air traffic controller to try and get the aircraft into the right runways. So we have another incoming aircraft, N22-4QS, coming in for runway 28. It is a civil aircraft, but it's a turboprop. So we should probably clear the runway while we can.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff Denali 1289er.
Alright, so it gets 1289 underway. They should clear before Max 8251 is on, well, it's on finals now, but is cleared for landing. There should be more than enough of a window to get an airliner out in that time frame. And it looks like our last turboprop has sorted himself out, and our last jet airliner that departed is just about to clear scopes. So the airspace at the end of runway 28 should be reasonably clear. In contemplating telling FRT 2031 to divert off to clear, but it's a jet airliner as well, so the two airliners should be fine. One shouldn't come into the other. It's just going to be a little bit of a conga line leaving the runway. So, then cleared 2.
Runway 28 cleared to land Magic 8251.
Alright, so Magic 8251 is now cleared to land. All things going to plan, 1289 should have cleared the runway by that point, so Magic will be clear to come in, which means we'll finally be able to get that bastard on the ground. And while we're at it, there's a big enough gap between these two turboprops that we can tell N22-4QS to enter finals. Alright, Denali 1289. Congratulations on takeoff, you are on your way. And just wait for it to pop up on scopes, there it is. Alright, so at this point what we're going to do is tell FRT 2035 to have a nice flight and piss off. Yeah, the gap between them should be fine. Alright, so it's on its way. So another jet airliner is now on its way out of our airspace. We don't have to worry about controlling it at this point, so we are good there. Just watching the DB Write at this point in time, just watching the gaps on all the aircraft, everything looks good. Max 8251 should almost be in visual range. Yeah, we'll leave Denali 1289 on scopes and under our control for a little bit of time just yet. I just want to make sure that nothing diverts. So anyways, is there any kind of campaign for Tower 3D Pro? Not really. You just take control of a runway, you select the number of runways you actually want to manage. You don't have to manage every single runway in the entire airport. For example, you can just take over one runway at LAX and leave the AI to manage all of the others. But you will have to work around the AI in the process, or you can try and manage the entire airport on your own. So the choice is up to you on which ones you manage. And I'm just going to give Max an order here just to make sure he's going to come into land. So there's no particular campaign that you actually run. There is a point scoring system, and you can see I've earned 70 points from takeoff and landings at this point, and we're going to tell... Alright, that's 224QS is now cleared to land as well, so they should just come in automatically. Yeah, as I was saying, there is a point scoring system. You can see I've earned 70 points for takeoff and landings at this point in time. If you break a rule or put an aircraft in a situation where it has a near miss, you get negative 500 points. Obviously, the goal is to try and maintain positive points as often as possible. And that is another one off our scope. So, we are just down to our final two arrivals. Now, the airports do have a day-night cycle. As you can see, it's currently 17:15. or 5:15 in the afternoon, heading into the evening, the sun is starting to go down. We can turn the landing lights on if we wish to light everything up, and we will have to do that once it gets dark, otherwise we will again earn negative points for not having the runway lit up. But we don't actually have to do that until about 5:45. Now, the arrivals and departures are sort of randomly generated. The arrivals are randomly generated, and they come in based on a slider. When you start the game, you select the traffic density that you actually want. This is the maximum traffic density for St. Thomas, and that gets max 8251 off the runway, taxiing to terminal. And we have 224QS coming in, and it's already set to land, so yep, Max has now cleared the runway. We'll give you a bit of a look at the landing lights here. If you just click the L up here, this turns on all of the lights, so you see it's lit up. As I said, we don't have to start running that until about 5:45, 6 o'clock when it starts getting a bit darker, so we'll just keep that off for the moment. Anyways, as I was saying, this is the maximum traffic density for St. Thomas. Now, you'll get aircraft spawning in bursts, you'll get a big group, and then you'll get a bit of a lull period. It's a more regional airport. Obviously, a maximum aircraft density on LAX is significantly higher. There's a lot more runways, there's a lot more going on, it becomes a lot more hectic in a real hurry. There is also a weather system, as you can see right now, where clear skies and sunshine, but there is also clouds, heavy fog and rain, storm clouds, heavy storm clouds, and so on and so forth. So the weather can cause you issues in both visibility, managing the aircraft on the ground, and the aircraft will react differently to what you're trying to tell them to do. There is also winds to consider. As you can see, the winds are currently blowing to the west, so they're blowing into runway 28, which is quite nice for landing, but the wind can shift around, and you will get different winds and wind speeds and wind directions that can cause you issues that you will need to manage around the runways as well. Beyond that, once you start taking up the air traffic controller's position, it's basically you and the point score. The mission itself is endless. The aircraft will continue to generate. As I said, the aircraft in the air are randomly spawned in. Departures are based entirely on what aircraft you actually have on the ground. The game just doesn't magically create aircraft that are there, but any of the aircraft that you see parked around at the airport at the moment could suddenly request to push back an engine start, and they will go to leave. You know you're going to have a busy time with aircraft coming in when you've nearly cleared the aircraft from all the terminals on the ground, because the game needs to give you more planes to have you manage. And that is Magic 224 QS on the ground, and it is taxiing to the alternate terminal, apparently. Right, so I'll give it permission to enter the terminal. And at this point, we've actually cleared the air and we've had no requests for departures on the ground. So this seems like a good time to bring the video here to a close. This runway is very relaxing to play. As I said, as people saw watching the stream last night, if you mess it up, it gets really bad really quickly. But providing you keep a smooth flow of aircraft coming in and out, this aircraft is actually quite relaxing to play. It's a good runway to play around on, where you're just sipping a coffee, maybe watching a video on YouTube, and just chilling. I'm probably going to do some more videos on this in the future. I think the next one I might do LAX, control of all 4 primary runways in both directions, which means I have 8 strips that aircraft can be putting down on maximum density. And that goes very, very wrong very, very quickly. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. This was just something that was a little bit different, still aircraft related, but something that I personally, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I really wasn't sure whether or not I would be interested in playing ATC, but I have found it to be a very relaxing way to spend the afternoon. Anyways, until next time, click that like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.